Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Mi Gente on Air. We are in the Alpha Media Studios at WSGW, and we've got a great show for you tonight. And we want to welcome everybody into the room, of course. And if you've got a question or concern, or you want to ask my guest a question or any concern that you may have, feel free to do so because we always try to promote that this is your show as well, Mi Gente on Air. And we want to incorporate everybody, because it's a wonderful show to bring about Latino culture, contributions, and concerns. And that's exactly what we're going to do tonight, this late January day, heading into a snowstorm tomorrow, they're saying, right, Jonathan? So we want to welcome everybody again. Come into the room. And my guest today is Robert Delgado, who's going to join us. And he's going to talk all about Robbie D's, the new restaurant on Court Street in Old Town Saginaw. So let's do it.
Welcome to Mi Gente on Air on 100.5 and 790 News Radio WSGW and online WSGW.com. Now, here is your host, Larry Rodarte.
Good evening. Welcome to Mi Gente on Air. We're bringing you some great live streams and shows each week here on Mi Gente on Air. I am your host, Larry Rodarte, and we're bringing attention to our Latino community each week. Now in our third year, we have this platform centering on Latinos throughout our community, state, and nation. And lately, there's so much buzz for Latino food in the Great Lakes Bay region. T&T Authentic Mexican Cuisine won the 12th annual Tamale Taste Off last month. Cazadores opened up in the mall, and Robbie D's opened their doors in Old Town Saginaw. Well, tonight I have a great guest here. He's a young entrepreneur who started out as a food truck business with Robbie D's and now has his own brick and mortar establishment. He's making a name for great cuisine across the Saginaw Courthouse area. Let's welcome Robert Delgado to Mi Gente on Air. Robert, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, Larry? I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being on Mi Gente on Air today, where I know there's so much interest in your establishment there in Old Town Saginaw. So tell us a little bit, tell my listening audience about who Robert Delgado is and what's your background.
So Robert Delgado is a entrepreneur, Mexican, 32 years old, from Saginaw. Grew up in Saginaw. Graduated from Arthur Hill High School in 2008, and I went to the Saginaw Career Complex my junior and senior year for food and hospitality. So that's kind of where I started cooking. Never knew how to cook or anything until I attended the Saginaw Career Complex.
And so tell us, what age were you then when you said 18, 19?
I was about 16 when I first went to the career complex.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So
Junior and senior year.
it really speaks to that career complex. I got a nephew that's there right now. So, in the old days, it was called the CAC.
Yeah,
Is that what it is today?
No, it's called SEC now. But back in the
Oh.
day, it was something like that.
Yeah.
But when it's weird because I never went when I first went to SEC. I never went for culinary. I went for radio broadcasting.
Oh,
And
wow. Look at
I
you
w-
here today.
Yeah, but I went for radio broadcasting, and I was in there a couple of days, and I was like dozing off, like falling asleep. I'm like, man, when we gonna get to the fun stuff? And I was like, this is kind of boring. And I ended up going to talk to my counselor to see what other classes that I can get into, because I went to the media broadcast. I said maybe one day I can like go work for ESPN or do something like that. But the first couple of days it wasn't for me, and I talked to my counselor to see what other classes were available. She was just going down the list, and she came across the food and hospitality. She said there was a couple spots there, and I was like, well, what they doing there? She said, well, it's a cooking. And I was like, what's so hard about cooking? I mean, I like to eat, so that should be, I'm a big guy, so I'm like, ain't nothing, shouldn't be, nothing too hard about that. So yeah, I'll take that. And then like the next day was my first day there, and the rest is history.
Wow. What a story, I mean, to have this, because what you do when you're so young sometimes in school, It's not what you end up in a career. Even in college, I remember I was no prep for like the first 2 years at MSU and had to declare a major because they said you got to declare a major at your junior year. And I went into clinical lab science in the medical field, and look where I am today.
Yeah.
So, it really is. Don't let anybody ever say, pigeonhole you that you got to do something. Just go where your passion is. And I think that's kind of what your story is, because I've heard where you talk about, having the mentality and a job paying $26 an hour, and you had a pension and a 401k, and you were set there, but you gave that all up to follow your dreams. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so when I worked at before I well actually even while I was doing Robert D's, but before I quit, I was working at the post office for about 9.5 years until I resigned back in, I think it was 2021, to do Robert D's full time. But so I was doing the food truck and I was working, and that was a lot, and I also have a son too, so I have to spend time with him. But I said that it was starting to be a lot, and I said one gotta go, and I prayed about it, I prayed to God and asked him to help me make the right choice on um
to,
what
to
I
give
should
up.
do. Yeah, what I
Hmm.
should do. Is it going to be Robbie D's full time, or is it going to be the post office full time? Because I always said that the post office was going to be my job I'm gonna retire from. I was there a long time, and I said I'm not gonna work nowhere else. I'm gonna work here because pay is good and everything's good. But then I started, I was doing Robbie D's, and that started to change up a little bit. And I love the post office, but I love doing Robbie D's more. And eventually I was like, man, I started getting tired of going to work. I was like, man, I could be. People were calling me while I was at work, like, hey, are you open today? Are you open? I was like, man, I'm getting all these phone calls about if
Mm.
I'm open. I should be open right now. And I have friends telling me like, man, you should quit and just do Robbie D's. But I was scared because I had so much time invested in that job, and I also had a 401k benefits and everything.
Yeah.
So to just like leave it would be big. So um I prayed on it, like I was saying. I prayed on it. Then one day, um I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm done with the post office today. And I ain't give him a 2 week notice or
Wow.
nothing. I went there and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna resign today. And they were just shocked, like, what? Like, what do you mean? And I was like, you know, um, uh, I'm gonna just resign. That, you know, I don't know if I told them that I'm gonna do Robbie D's or not, but I mean, I think they knew. But I said today is my last day. I didn't even work that day. I just went in there and I said, yeah, today's my last day, so I want to resign. I wrote my resign letter out and cleaned out my lockers and my desk area, and that was it.
Wow. So let's backtrack a little bit, because you're talking about the food truck. So you had the food truck already established at this
Hmm.
point, was doing that while you were working at the post office. What motivated you to get involved in a food truck? I mean, because now you're seeing all these
Hmm.
food trucks coming out. I mean, times have changed in the last 5 years.
Hmm.
Tell us about your endeavor to actually get that food truck started.
So I always wanted to get a food truck. Um, it was always like, man, one day I want to get a food truck on a restaurant, but I never did it. And then, you know, like I said, I think when I first started, it was only um, making bacon, TNT, and then me. I believe it was. Don't call me. I could be wrong, but that's all that I remember
Mm-hmm.
was just making bacon and TNT. And then I said, yeah, I'm gonna do this too. And so, but it was always like I say in the back of my mind saying I want to do this food truck. And then I was like, you know what, I want to. My first pop up was in 2018 at the Cinco de Mayo. That was, back in it's Huntington Park.
Yeah.
It's called First Merit now, I think. But that was my first pop up. But I just went to the health department one day and I said that, hey, I want to start a food truck. Um, what do I need to do? and they gave me a list, and I went to. I said I wanted to get my own grill made, so I went and found a barrel down in Detroit. Me and a buddy went to go pick it up, and then I took it to a welder. He welded it all up for me and everything, and then the health department called me like a day before saying, "All right, we got your permit. Um, what do you ready?" I was like, "Yeah, I went and got this grill made. Spent all this money. I'm ready." I said, "Oh, you can't have a homemade grill." And so I'm like, "Well, what do you mean? Like, I don't have a grill. I spent all this money on this stuff. What do I do? Can I use a regular grill?" They said, "Well, yeah, but you can't use that." So I asked my dad if I could borrow the grill, his grill, and he was like, "Yeah, but a grate's missing." I was like, "I don't care. I just need one." So that's how I started off with just that backyard grate.
And it's really something because with my involvement with the Civica, and we've done food for over 10 years now. It's really a challenge and can be really hindering to any entrepreneur, especially a young entrepreneur, because you've got to go through the process of the health department, and there's rules and regulations, and that it can sometimes be difficult with whoever you may have as the inspector, and then you've got to get the licensing and just get everything up to par. And I think that's one of the things that sometimes scares people away. And it's an important job though that they have to do to make sure that the food is healthy. And so I've seen that. I've gone through the processing myself, and so to for you to have brought forth, a homemade hood or what have you. I remember we bought one out at Sam's, one of those big long ones, and we were at the Bridgeport days, and we were able to use that, but we couldn't use what we had also made with a hoodie thing over it. So yeah, it can be a process, and I think that to have the tenacity to go forward and see it through can really it's kudos to you in what you've did, because in 2018 then you started with Robbie D's with the food truck. And where were you primarily parked? Was it on Bay Road?
Yep. So when I first I was mainly at the Advanced Auto on Bay Road in Davenport. That was my start off, and then I went to the Dollar General on Bay Road and Weiss.
Oh yeah.
And then I went back to the Advanced Auto on Bay Road in Davenport. So yeah, that was mainly my where I mainly was the Advanced Auto. But I went to the Dollar General also for a long time until.
Now I'm going to ask you this question, and I don't know the answer, but I'm curious because I noticed that's still the city of Saginaw, then, correct? Because once you go past
that
by the McDonald's there,
once you go past the those, I think it's that, where's it at? Like by Mackinac, over in that area, then you're considered in the township. So there's those apartments on the right, and then you go past that old 7-Eleven apartments. Then there's that light. I think once you go past that light, I think over by or that Can America Park right there, I think somewhere over there is the limit to from Saginaw and
the township.
Yeah, but that's that side. But when you go to the right, like where where Rico's and that is, that's the township.
That's the township.
So the Dollar General is kind of like that the limit right there. Because once you go past Dollar General, right across the street, that's considered township.
So that's why everybody's staying on that side.
Yeah, because the township rules are different than the Saginaw rules. So
yeah, definitely
they're a lot different. Yeah, but yeah.
Well, one of our friends, Toyo Rosas, is saying Weiss and Bay Road is borderline for the city. So okay, that makes sense then. So what have you seen now that you're opened up in Old Town? What have you seen for that area? In terms of the energy or what has transpired since you've opened. Is it a good location for what you're doing there, especially with the courthouse across the street?
Yeah, it's a great location. Everybody in Old Town, everybody, great people. Great people. The Fralias, Jake's, the pub. I met all of them. Um, well, I don't know about Mindbirds, but I mean, I met mostly everybody there, and they're all awesome people. The area, I mean, the area is great too. I mean, it's right across the street from the county courthouse. So when I seen it was for sale, I knew it was a great location.
Mm-hmm.
And I was already, it's not like I was like just starting out. Like I've been doing Robbie D since 2018. Excuse me. So people kind of knew like who Robbie D's was and what I sold.
Mm-hmm.
And I also set up at the courthouse too, a couple times. So I'm right across the street from the courthouse. So people kind of already knew,
Mm-hmm.
and all I had to do was just promote. So
Well, let's look at some of that food that you have because it looks delicious, and I know I don't know if you can see that, but
oh yeah,
what's that one called?
that's the Big Rob.
The Big Rob.
Yeah,
There
the
you
Big
go, the
Rob
Big
burger.
Rob
Yeah.
with that cheese and meat and the steak sandwich. Okay,
Yeah.
and you know, out of all of them, like what has been your most popular, your specialty?
So everything is pretty popular actually. Everything sells pretty good, but if I had to guess, I would say the wings.
The wings
Yeah.
and the buffalo wings.
Yep, the buffalo lemon
There we
pepper
go.
wings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Our egg rolls sell real good. Our cheesesteak egg rolls. So, but if I had to pick one, I would say the wings.
Okay, and there's your cheese, your
Yep,
steak
that's our
cheese.
Philly cheesesteak. Yep,
Okay, yeah, there
those
you
sell
go.
good. Like I said, everything sells, pretty good. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be the wings. Those are cheesesteak fries.
All right, all right. So, what's the address there at Court Street?
So it's 100 South Michigan, Suite 2, Saginaw, Michigan 48602.
So, for people out there, to our listeners, if anybody remembers where the old Ipples building was, the old Ipples before it burned in 1998, I want to say, that's exactly where Robbie D's is, right across from the courthouse on Court Street, the front doors, and it's where the old former Daniel's Den was when they went out of business
Daniel's
this
Grill.
last year. What was it?
Daniel's Grill.
Daniel's Grill. Okay, Daniel's Den. I'm thinking
The
back
church.
of the place, the rock and roll place. You know. So, anyways, we have Robbie D here in the house. If anybody's got questions, we have Gracie Delgado. She says my favorite steak and cheese egg rolls. And we have Roy Aranjo who says center line of Weiss is the township line. So everybody's kind of giving the comments in regards to where that township line is, and hoping that more doors open up in the township for these food trucks and all, right? Because
Yeah.
it's coming. The wave of food trucks, whether it's making bacon, like you mentioned, or any of the other food trucks that are coming on board. I mean, it's really become an industry that you see across the state, across the nation, and
definitely.
it's definitely a difference of cuisines, and we've had them at the festivals like Friday Night Live, those types of things. But now we're moving out for business, on the daily. So it's really
Yeah,
nice to
it's
see all that happening. Let's talk about how the process was for you to actually get the space there that you're in, because I know you had to go through a loan process, and that can be difficult for any young man, especially. And tell us a little bit about that story, because I think anybody who's looking to possibly do a restaurant, that's the big hurdle.
Mhm. Yeah, so it was the loan process. I had they said I had to get a business loan, and I went who helped me write out um well, when it comes to the business plan, I kind of, because to get the restaurant, oh, we're talking about the license. Okay, so I had SEDC help me with that.
That's the Second Economic Development
Yep,
Corporation.
yep,
Yes.
right there in City Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a guy by the name of Chris Curtis help me write out help he helped me write out like my financials and everything. But it was actually like more than just like financials and stuff. You had to know like the equipment you wanted and everything,
Writing out a business
yeah,
plan.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
writing out the business plan, and they wanted to know everything. and it was like real stressful because that took some time. I thought it would be like a week thing,
No.
but it took like over a month, I think, to finally sit there and be like, all right, now I'm gonna go try to submit this. And then even when I did submit it, I got denied
Mm-hmm.
the first time, and I'm like, man, because you had to be at a certain credit, and my credit wasn't where it should be,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had to get my credit score up. So I think once I had like Credit Karma, and I paid off a couple credit cards, and as soon as that score, I seen it go up. Like after a couple weeks, I went back to the bank and I was like, all right, my score is up to where you said it should be. Now let's resubmit it. They're like, what? Are you sure? It should take longer than what it did. I'm like, no, I'm positive. They're like, are you sure? Because once we submit this, and your score is not where it's gonna be, where it should be, it's gonna put it back down some more again. And I'm like, yeah, I'm positive. They're like, they didn't believe me that my score went up to where it should so fast. And then a couple days later, they're like, it was approved. So I'm like, yeah, I was excited, but I still had a whole like hurdles to go through there because they're like, all right, they accept the business plan now. We need this, we need this, we need this. And like I was like stressed out. Like
Yeah, all the
every
paperwork.
every time I submit something, like a couple days later, they'll be like, all right, we need this now. And I'm like, come on, man. Like I already did all this. And then it was like, all right, we need this. And then it was like, you sure, this is where it should be? I'm like, yeah. And it was like, okay, I got approved, but am I gonna like, is this official yet? So they approved it, but it seems like it still wasn't all the way official yet. And then finally one day they was like, all right, come sign the closing documents. I'm like, man, yes, let's go. And I signed it, and then that's when I knew it was official. But it was definitely a tough process. And I think the bank Huntington said that I was the first person to get it,
Yeah.
that loan.
Well, the process you're saying, how long do you think it would have taken from the time when you first went to Huntington or even SEDC? How long did
I
until
think it took all the way from March, April, March or April, all the way until I signed the papers in September, August. I think was September was when I signed officially. So that's how long it took, all the way from March all the way until around.
and the reason I asked that question, why I wanted to bring this up, is because I know that there are young people out there who want to start businesses now, and they've contacted me, and the first question they'll ask is, are there any grants for us to start businesses?
Yeah,
And there's a difference between grants as well as loans, business loans. And I have to say, the Saginaw Economic Development Corporation is a really good entity that very few people know about in our community. And I say that because I was a board member of probably 20 years back. And I know the process, and I know the loans, that they're federal loans that are given to individuals, and they're good. And sometimes they will be more accepting, with the process of the SEDC, as opposed to you just going on your own, to
yeah,
a bank or whatever. And I think that's the process that I'm hearing here, which is really good for the SEDC. And that's in the county courthouse, Saginaw County Courthouse. And the great people over there that do great things, they've got career job fairs every once in a while, but they're always looking for um, minority entrepreneurs such as Robert Delgado, because they really try to help the underserved communities and the African Americans and the Latinos in our community. So I really encourage anybody to look into Saginaw Economic Development Corporation.
yeah.
We are going to talk more with Robert Delgado. He is the entrepreneur, the owner of Robbie D's. And we're going to come back from commercial. And please join us in the room if you can. Give comments, concerns, or any questions that you may have of Robert Delgado as he continues on the journey of being the entrepreneur of Robbie D's in the city of Saginaw in Old Town. We'll be right back. So come on into the room. We've got a number of people in the room already, and a lot of hearts, a lot of hearts out there. And I see one of is Juan Felipe Delgado. He says, "Proud of my cousin." And boy, Phil, it seems like you're related to everybody inside. He's related to me too, so he's a cousin on his mother's side.
Yeah.
But we want to encourage everybody to come on into the room because we're talking business, we're talking good entrepreneur skills, we're talking about SEDC, and I know that Robbie has had a successful run with that in order to get the Robbie D location in Old Town. And there's so many years that I have seen where people who are looking for grants or for loans or whatever, they're inhibited by the process and they give it up. And it took you a good 6 months. So you can see
Yeah.
how long that process can take. And they'll help you write a business loan. They'll help you get your financials in order, get you where you're got better credit than you have. And it's a good program. So I encourage anybody look to the SEDC. So we're
Yeah,
gonna
they'll help you, but it's like you also gotta be on your stuff too.
yeah.
So you gotta make sure that you got all your financials in order. So when you submit all your information to the bank, like they want to see like your profits
Right.
and stuff. So you gotta make sure like you're on stuff. So it's almost like it's a long and it's a tough process, but it's almost like that's how they weed out the people who are serious and who ain't serious.
Yeah.
So if you're serious about it, you gonna go through that tough process. But if you're not serious and passionate about what you do, you're gonna be like, this too much.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they make it a little tough to see like how bad you really want this and if you're gonna go through with this. And and once they see that, man, like he ain't quitting, he's just coming back, then I'm sure they're gonna look at it and be like, all right, he's serious. Let's get him what he wants. So when you go through that process of getting a business loan, you just gotta stay on it, and you gotta be passionate about what you do. You can't give up because and also just because somebody else tells you no, like that's not an official no. Like just go somewhere else, go to another bank. Just because one bank tells you no, don't mean another bank's gonna tell you no.
Exactly.
So you can't let that word no like stop you from wanting to follow your dream or and get that business loan to make your dream happen. So it's a tough process, but if you're serious about it, then keep going and keep fighting through that tough process.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to go back into the show real quick. We're going to start into the next half of Mi Gente on here. And just prime time, Robbie, I want you to look at this camera here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's your audience there.
All right.
You can talk with me too and look over, like, because I will too. But that's the audience there. So let's go back into the show.
This is Mi Gente on air on WSGW.
And we're back. We're back here on Mi Gente on air, and we're talking with Robert Delgado from Robbie D's. He's that new restaurant that you see at the corner of Court Street and Michigan Avenue, right across from the county courthouse. And he's doing his thing. He had a Saginaw food truck that started out on Bay Road in 2018, and he's moved into the brick and mortar facility there where the Daniel's Grill was, and he's doing great things. And it's been open for now about a month. And what was the process, Robbie, when you finally decided to go from the food truck to the brick and mortar?
Just getting that business plan was the biggest hurdle to go through. Because you still had to get the license from the health department and all that type of stuff. But because I already went through a license process with the food truck. It wasn't. You almost had to do the exact same thing for the restaurant, just a couple more things. But I wasn't really worried about that because I already know how to get a license to be able to sell food. So um, I would say through that process, the toughest loan was to get the business loan. And for the health department, I kind of like to get. I used to get a lot of temporary licenses back in the day, and my actual license, I'm not even licensed out of Saginaw. I'm licensed out of Midland
Mm-hmm.
for my food truck, but to for my license in Saginaw or for the restaurant, I'm licensed in Saginaw. So, but they already knew me because I had my food truck for so long. So I just went to them and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna get a restaurant. What do I need to do?" And I had to pay for different licenses, but as far as getting my license, it wasn't that tough because, like I said, I've been doing this for a lot of years now,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to be state licensed with the state. The license with the food truck is almost like the exact same thing with the restaurant, because the license with the food truck is you're like a real restaurant. It's just you're just mobile.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too much of a difference that you had to fill out for those papers. But like I said, when I started back in the day, um, it was like I said, it was just basically like making bacon TNT and me. And now it's all these great food trucks right now that all these other food trucks, all these great food trucks that are out there now, which is great for the city. So it's great to have all these different food trucks out there. But who helped me kind of like get started with everything was the owner of King's Fish
Mm.
out there on Genesee, and Eddie King, and also Toyo Rosas. He helped me, with some of my paperwork also. So if I ever had any questions, I'll really, ask them about it. Like, hey, what, how do I fill this out, or just anything, and they were always willing to help me. So,
Well,
um,
that's our good friend Toyo Rosas from TNT, Authentic Mexican Cuisine, and that's how it should be. We should all be helping each other in this process of bringing forth this great cuisine, this food that we have in our community. And let's talk about your actual food.
mhm.
What would you say if somebody were to ask you today and say, okay, well, what is it that you consider your restaurant, your food, and what type of what's your main ingredient that brings forth that delicious food?
uh, it's funny because I call it when people that want to know my seasonings, stuff. I just call it love seasoning, because I season everything with love. So when you love what you do, you don't just throw stuff together. You find the right seasonings to make sure that it's good for you, but for customers too, so that they'll enjoy it. So I would say my main ingredient is just love. That that's my main ingredient is just love.
Well, when we started this program today, I noticed you gave the sign of the cross as we started going forward, and I know that religion plays a big part in your life as well. Tell me
Hmm.
a little bit about that if you'd like to share that.
Yeah. So when I did the cross today, I just prayed that God give me the right words to say during this interview, and that so that's what I prayed about when you see me, make the cross. Was I just prayed to God to so that He helped me say the right words for for everyone to listen to, and so I'm not up here, like stuttering and not know what to say, but that He just be with me and help me to talk, you know, um, talk good, and make sure I'm not stumbling over my words and everything just flows out,
Hmm.
how it should.
And that's what the platform here is. It's to give information to our community, to the greater community, to bring that awareness about your establishment, your restaurant, and yourself, and to note that this is a young Latino entrepreneur who is doing great things in the community for our community, and that's where we talk about Latino contributions. We're here, we've been here for a while, and there's some great things really happening. And I want to mention that Angela Blanco is saying, "Congratulations, Robert. The process,
Thank you.
that process was something, but so worth it. corner of Court Street and Michigan Avenue has life again. Thank you and best of luck.
Thank you.
And we also have Pauline Cap. She's saying, congratulations, Robert. I have not eaten at Robbie D's yet, but I have heard good and positive vibes about the food and service. I'll make my way there soon. God bless you and your business.
Thank you. God
So
bless you too.
you got a community behind you, brother. You got everybody who's, rooting for you, and that we hope that this will be a long endeavor there at that corner with Robbie D's. And what is it that you talk about, those who helped you in terms of Toyo and the other gentleman,
Eddie King.
Who are your mentors? Like who are your mentors in your life that got you to where you're at today?
I'll say my dad. My dad definitely.
And he's Robert Delgado
Senior. Yep.
Yes.
My dad, my pastor, Dr. Hayes. He, helps me with everything. Just stay on track. I got a lot of good family and friends, but I'll say my dad, Dr. Hayes, my pastor from Word of Faith. I got some good friends. Tim Walker, he's a good friend. Courtney Wilson, definitely a good friend too. My cousin, Joaquin Garcia. So,
Joaquin Garcia, I know that name.
He in Saginaw Boxing Club.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yep. And
Efren's brother.
Huh?
Efren's brother, right?
Yeah. No, that's his nephew.
Yep.
Yep.
Is Joaquin and Jay
they're the same?
The same. Okay.
Yeah.
So you threw me off with the Joaquin.
Oh, yeah,
I know him
yeah,
as
Jay
Jay
Garcia.
Yeah. And we had him on the show, and if you remember Jonathan, you remember we actually chose Jay Garcia's story as one of our end of year shows just because it was so moving, and there was that connection to God again there, we've seen that. So kudos to Jay as well and what he's doing with the Saginaw Boxing Club over at the Old American GI Forum. So we've got a lot of young up and coming entrepreneurs that they're getting out there and doing their thing, and we've got those who are a little bit more seasoned and they're supporting you and they're saying congratulations, we will be there soon to try it out. That's Dolores Garcia. I think that's D Garcia. And then Sin Favela, she's saying, heard a lot of great things about your restaurant, can't wait to get out there and try it. Congratulations.
Also my buddy Kendrick Rogers, he's an entrepreneur too, that just helped me along the way, kind of like push me, be like, if I got any entrepreneur questions, or questions regarding business, he also helped me too. So if I forgot to name anybody, I'm sorry, but you know who
you are.
Right.
When I ask you what has been your most memorable experience, I'm talking about since you opened the restaurant itself, what comes to mind? What first comes to mind for you?
My memorable experience,
opening day. I mean, that was huge.
About the restaurant.
Yeah.
It was just just being there, just knowing, I would just say just opening, everything was pretty memorable as far as, opening up my restaurant. It's almost like I didn't really get a chance to like soak it all in because it was, as soon as we like cut that ribbon, it was time to get back there and cook, but just seeing all my family there supporting me, family and friends, just being there. And, once I cut that ribbon, it was like, it's game time now.
Yeah.
So it's like, I did the food truck and everything, and it's like, I got that done, but now this is a whole new ball game. So it's like, I'm starting all over again, so even though I've been in business since 2018, I haven't had a restaurant yet. So I'm back to square one again, so now it's time to just build this back up, so I got this restaurant, but this isn't going to be my first restaurant. I'm going to have multiple restaurants.
A chain.
I'm going to have a chain. Yeah, so Saginaw is just where it all started.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like it was memorable, but it's like, all right, I'll soak this in for a couple minutes, but I'll soak all this in, but it's game time now. It's time to get back to business.
Now, are you going to also still operate the food truck while?
Yep. So I'm still going to operate the food truck. I plan on doing it not as many times, but maybe once or twice a month. I plan on doing the food truck. So I do have a date. I'm gonna bring it out again, but I'll announce that later.
Well, let me ask you this, because I mean, you've got the food truck, but your main business right now is going to be with the restaurant,
Mhm.
Robbie D's. Has it been hard or difficult to find good help?
Um, a lot of people say, man, that's been hard to find good help, but I'm a little different, and I can disagree with it a little bit because my help has always been pretty consistent. But I'd be lying if I said there's some days to where it's like, man, don't nobody want to work. But the good days definitely outweigh the bad days. But with the restaurant, um, I wouldn't say it's hard to find help. Because when, like, let's say I got some people and they decide to, that Robbie D's ain't for them, or they found another job or something, and they don't work at Robbie, they quit. Excuse me. But and that has happened, and or like somebody calls in. It gets pretty stressful sometimes, because you're not expecting that. And when you get hit with a blow like that, it's like, now what do I do? Now I'm be short staffed.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? It's like you can't, like, it's almost like you can't I can't think of the name. When that happens, you can't be like oh, now what do I do? You just gotta be like, all right,
You got to go with the flow.
still, gonna, because you can't let it get to you because you'll just be stressed all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
you just got to be ready. Once that your day starts, you just got to be ready for whatever, and you got to learn how to get through those punches. And you got to say, all right, well, so and so called in, or so and so ain't working here no more. But guess what? One person don't stop this show.
Yeah, yeah,
The the show's gonna still keep going, and it's almost like if you get short staff or something, but you get through the day. So guess what? That Yeah, it's almost like that taught you a lesson. And the lesson is that you can still run this without that person.
mm-hmm.
So that taught me that, well, guess what? Now I can do this without them. So um it's almost like the boat sunk, but you learned how to swim. So you just learn how to get through those tough times. So it's just a lesson learned. So that's how you got to take it, as when obstacles come your way, you got to learn how to get through it.
Right.
So in um so to me, it's like, like if somebody, like quit or something, so guess what? Well, payroll's just going to be a little less next week. So,
Right.
and you learn to get through with that. So guess what? When payroll is a little less, guess what that means for you? Your profit's going to be up higher, more money for you. So that didn't teach. So that didn't hurt me in the end. It helped me, because now I know I can run this with one less person, and I'll have more money in my pocket in the end. So that's just how you got to look at things. You can't look at things as something bad. You got to look at the positive of things.
Yeah, we're here at the WSGW Alpha Media Studios. We're talking with Robert Delgado. He opened up the restaurant over on Court, Michigan, called Robbie D's. It's across from the courthouse, and we want to encourage everybody to try his food. It's some good stuff. Tell me about the Saginaw Career Complex CTE Alumni of the Year Award. They
Yeah.
just notified you that they're bestowing that upon this young man, and that's a big award for the year. So tell me about how that makes you feel as an alumnus of the Saginaw Career Complex.
I'm really honored, and shout out to Julie Ivan, who nominated me, and for the award. It kind of took me by surprise, because I don't do what I do for awards
Right.
and recognitions. I do it because this is what I love to do. And it just so happens that sometimes, you get recognized for it in awards, but I don't do what I do to expect anything, any type of awards. I do it because I love what I do. I like to help the youth. So I'm a part of the culinary advisory team, So I help out with the food and hospitality class. I'm a judge, for their culinary competitions or tryouts, so they can make the team to go on the competitions. I took my food truck there before, and they helped me like cook. I cooked for the class, and they helped me. They was in there cooking with me to see how it is to cook in a food truck.
Wow.
Excuse me. So,
Sounds like it's much more elaborate than I thought, actually.
and so, but I didn't even know I was nominated for it until I told Julie Ivan. I said, "Hey, they told me you nominated me. Thank you." She's like, "Yeah, yeah." So
And she's one of the teachers
she's a
there.
teacher. She was my teacher there, my 11th and 12th grade year,
Okay.
and she's still there. And so she's been there for over 30 years now, I believe. She's been
Wow.
the teacher there. So she not only has like impacted my life, but also impacted other lives, in a good way. And also she helps me if I ever got any questions or anything. Sometimes I still ask her, questions regarding, restaurants or anything. But I'm really honored for the, Alumni of the Year award. I'm excited, and I thank God that He blessed me to receive that award.
And that's happening when?
That
February 11th, I
is,
think.
I think it's February 22nd. I
Oh,
think is a
okay.
day.
Well, make sure you notify us and we somehow get that, because that's a big award, I think, for your former school to say, hey, we want to award this guy who's doing great things. So that's the Saginaw Career Complex CTE Alumni of the Year Award. And what does
Mhm.
CTE stand for? The culinary?
Uh,
I'm not
I'm
even sure.
I'm not even sure. Oh man, yeah, I'm not even sure. That's just what they had sent me. I don't even know what it stands for. CTE. I think something like C technical, or it's something.
Well, anybody out there in the listening world, if you know what the CTE stands for, we're curious here. But Robbie's getting that end of year award. We also want to ask you: is has the family, the Delgado family? It's a huge family in our community. Tell us about who your parents are by name and the family that you come from.
My parents is Robert Delgado and Gracelia Delgado. Um,
And the Delgado family, is that the same family? Well, I know Phil's family
yeah,
because
and my grandma and grandpa. My grandpa's Robert Delgado, and my grandma's Angie Delgado. So Phil's my family from my grandpa's side, my uncle John.
oh yeah,
So Phil's dad, rest in peace, my uncle John.
yeah.
That his dad was my grandpa's dad, my grandpa's brother. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So it's an
So
extended
mhm,
Delgado family. And the reason I bring that up just because I know that, there's so much support from our families
yeah,
within the Latino community. We have somebody who opens up, a food truck or a restaurant or whatever. You can be assured that, the family unit's going to be some of your biggest
yep,
cheerleaders.
yep. My mom and dad, they're always there for me. My grandma, my grandpa, my whole family is always there for me. My mom, she goes mostly every day. She call her the momager. So it's like the manager, but like she's the mom. So she says the momager.
Yeah, and she's
So
on here. She says,
yeah,
"Mama Jer is watching, son." Robert
yeah,
Delgado, aka Robbie D's, and she says,
yeah.
"I am proud of you and your success."
Yep. My mom, she helps out a lot. Um, she'll come in the morning time and help me with what we need, and then my dad, I'll be like, sometimes if we run low in a restaurant or something, I'll be like, hey dad, you think you can run a Gordon's for me, and I'll run here for me to get some for the restaurant. He'll be like, yeah, yeah. So he helps out a lot too. So my dad, actually, when I built that new food truck that I got now,
Hmm.
my dad helped me build a lot of the stuff inside of it. So he put like the floors in, the walls, and him and my grandpa put the ceilings in, the
Wow.
ceiling in my truck. So my dad actually helped me build. I say I built it, but I actually didn't build it. Like I just was like, hey dad, this goes here, this goes there. So they're the handy people. I'm not really that handy. He's the handyman. So And my grandpa came over one day and seen my dad putting the ceiling up. He was like, "Hey, you need some help?" And so, my grandpa helped him put the ceiling up. But my dad, he did a lot of the work in my new food truck I got. So when I got my new food truck, it was actually it was new. It was I got it in 2021 and it was a 2022. And so it was a snowmobile trailer. So it was all wood inside. And I converted it to a new food truck into a food truck. So everything is in there, we put in there. And so we kind of built it all inside. And my electrician, Mario Williams, he put all the electricity in there. I had to take it to a guy named Juan from Maria's.
From Maria's
Yep.
family. Mhm.
Yep. He did a lot of the install the equipment too. So Juan Estrada, he helped me with a lot of it too. So I had like a lot of different people help me, but
A lot of hands
yep,
involved.
a lot of hands that helped me. I took it down to Detroit. I had a guy down there. He helped. He did some work on it too. So, and then now it's a full food truck, fully licensed now. So if I ever wanted to get a new one, I told my dad, I was like, "Yeah, Dad, I think I want to get a new food truck. You gonna help me?" But like, no. So, but it was a fun process though. So
Well, good for you. You're a young man, 32 years old, in the business, and it's challenging but fun because you're following your passion, right?
yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. What would you say to anybody who's thinking to do a food truck? And we only got a minute here left in the show. That's how fast it went. But let me have the last word.
So anybody that just wants to do a food truck or just follow their dreams in general, don't let people are always going to talk negative or say something about what you dream and doing. But if it's something you want to do, work hard, and anything is possible. So yeah, just keep working at it and work hard and um, anything is possible. Don't quit, don't give up. Just keep working.
And there you have it. Thank you so much, Robert Delgado.
Put God first.
Robbie D, yes, put God first, he's saying. And the hour always goes so fast. But I just want to thank everybody who came into the room, had questions or concerns to Robbie. We have to support this young man as he ventures out into the community and brings us that great cuisine with Robbie D. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week here again on Mi Gente on Air. Hasta luego. So there you have it. Here we're at the Alpha Media Studio, still on the live stream. And thank you, everybody who's been in the room. We had a big crowd tonight again with a lot of comments and a lot of emojis. And Angela Blanco says, "Good show, gentlemen." Nancy Rodriguez says, "Congratulations." And Teresa Gomez says, "Congratulations, Robbie D." So you got all these people. Is there any last word in the live stream you would want to say to any of your supporters and listeners?
I just want to, just tell everybody thank you for supporting me. Thank you for, spreading the word, whether it was, showing up at the food truck, the restaurant, or even, sharing my stuff on Facebook, liking the post, spreading that word of mouth. They all helped me to be where I'm at now. So without the supporters and, without God, there'd be no Robbie D's.
Right.
So, I just want to, thank everybody for the support and being there with me. So thank you, and I appreciate it.
All right, there you have it. So again, thank you for being with us tonight here on Mi Gente on Air as we continue into the new year to bring you these shows that highlight Latino culture, concerns, and contributions. Good night, everybody, and stay safe.